And we'll throw up the disclaimer. The following presentation openly express things, shares without limitations of social division, unless you count some of our hosts' lack of decency and bad jokes. Viewer discretion is advised.
Always.
Send the kids to sleep. God damn it. It's our time right now to talk about some
Do your homework.
shit. That's right. Go do your homework. And honestly, no matter how crazy we may speak, and when I say we, I mean myself, we do have really, really intelligent conversations here, believe it or not. And today is not sponsored by Whip It.
It's not sponsored.
Joey Zaza, Sandy Felices, John Matos. What's the deal? Torre del Viejo coming at you once again. And it's bugged out. You know what? It's not usual for something to fall on the same day every year. Like, yeah, okay, New Year's is going to be the first. Christmas is going to be the 25th, whatever. What's up, Remy? But one year it'll be on a Wednesday, another year it'll be on a whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's the second or maybe even the third year in a row that La Intentona de Jauco falls on a Thursday that we're having our podcast. So big up and salute to Fidel Velez, to Tianati, and everybody else who showed pure fucking balls of steel in Jauco.
No doubt, no doubt.
In the late 1800s.
Respect,
and
no
this
doubt.
page and our whole purpose is named after that crew, El Torre del Viejo. And on that, today's topic is when art meets weapons. We have the art guy, art guy over there. We have the weapons guy right here. We have Sandy, the teacher, making sure that we don't kill each other.
Right.
Teacher, not bouncer. Come on, no.
Sometimes it's the same thing. You've told me yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't get paid extra for that shit.
That is true. That is true. So how we're gonna attack this? No pun.
Pun intended.
Well, I mean, I think it's important to start out that with the fact that weapons have a purpose. They have a very obvious purpose. You use them in war. You use them for violence, protect your loved ones, etc. But at the end of the day,
they are passed down as heirlooms also.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting
symbols of nobility, symbols of things, accomplishments,
exactly,
rank,
exactly. So, but for the overwhelming majority, it's seen as a weapon is a weapon. It's used to hurt, kill, and maim. At the end of the day, that's what it is, and that's what it's capable of. Otherwise, it's not a weapon.
Did you say maim or maim?
Maim.
Okay.
But just like Joey started saying,
hold on. Hi, Ali. Okay.
But just like Joey started saying, they also serve other purposes. They get passed down as heirlooms. This musket has been in my family for generations, or this sword, whatever.
Musket?
Or who, depending who the family is and what the weapon is. But yeah, like there are families out here that I'm sure they have a musket from like the Civil War and shit. Mira eso. Yeah.
I inherited this from Sandy's grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
We call it Nito.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Entonces, but yeah, so they also serve the purpose of being passed down as heirlooms, signify rank and wealth. They're used for ceremonies, for religious rituals, especially.
Yes, like wealth. Wealth is definitely a big, depending on which culture and what time in history.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at even two cultures that have a lot of differences, like the European knights and the Japanese samurai. If you look at officers versus like the regular Joe Schmo,
very fucking different. I just like scan through my brain real quick. Like, okay, wait.
Everybody, I think everyone you were talking, and my brain went to a map, and then the map started making a line and going up, and I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I started thinking of the sword itself.
Yeah, but
even the other one curved and the lines and very fucking different. What you just said there. I'm sorry. Continue.
Exactly, but you're right. And like even taking those two as an example, as different as they are, they have that one similarity where if you look at an officer versus a private or just regular Joe Schmo, just a commoner with a spear, whatever you want to call them, the weapons that they have, not just quality, but like the craftsmanship and the art and the just how regal shit look is like vastly different. Like,
well, in combat, that can actually turn around and bite them in the ass.
That's true.
Because when it comes to weapons, just because it looks nice does not mean that it'll function as nice.
And that's
martial arts, period. Just because it looks nice and flashy does not mean it's going to save your ass.
Exactly. And that's something I came upon my research and like pictures I was looking at and stuff. There's a ratio that people consider, or you would hope they would consider, if they have two brain cells to rub together. But when making a weapon, you have to look at the aesthetics, how nice it looks, and the functionality. How can you use this shit in a fight and you won't have to worry about the fucking thing breaking on you or jamming, whatever the weapon is, right? So I've noticed, like you were saying, weapons actually used in war, but they look fancy because they belong to an officer, a general, whatever. They're both pretty high up. The aesthetic is high, but the utility is as well. Weapons that since day one, like since they were in the sketching phase, they have been meant to be used for rituals or non-warfare related activities. Aesthetic and utilities down here. This knife won't cut. If this knife hits a shield, I promise you it will break, etc., etc. If I swing it hard enough, this gemstone is gonna go flying. If I'm lucky, it'll hit the motherfucker.
Break a finger or something like that, you know.
Exactly. But this same knife, its only purpose is to bury this mummy, to bury it with this mummy. That's all it's for. So it doesn't matter if it won't cut, if the gem will fly if I swing it, etc., etc. So they take these things into consideration.
Please tell me you have a picture of that. Is it a Dao? Oh, the one that they found that had all that crazy inlays and it was almost razor sharp when they found it.
Yeah,
2,000 years later.
Yeah, dude cut himself when he picked it up. No, I don't, but I know which one you're talking about.
Ah, shit.
He was hungry.
I was trying to find a good one of that one, and it's difficult.
I didn't even think of it, but I do remember reading about that one. And so yeah, and I have a few pics to show just to like give you and our viewers an idea of like what to look at. And Joy, you could use your eye to see if what the ratio is. I want you to use that your third eye, your martial arts eye, to see if like would you use it in a fight, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got to share the screen, man.
Definitely.
We have a whole bunch to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having, like I was telling you, I had a conversation with Sifu Raymond earlier on. Later on, I'll play some of the conversation. And we were talking about, the functionality of weapons and this, that, and the other. And he had a really cool insight, like always. It's Sifu.
Yeah. So just a random example to get things started, and then we'll go more like in depth as far as like history and whatnot. Do you see this?
Hold on.
Okay.
Boom. Nice dagger.
Yeah. So this is a replica. It's a Scottish dagger, but it's not, from back in the day. It's a replica.
How much can you zoom in? I want to see the actual blade of it.
Yeah. Starts losing resolution.
Okay,
there,
that's
right? My bad. Yeah.
It looks like it has a bit of a serrated edge on one side, a drop clip, or no, that's a false edge on the top.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a medial ridge. It's hard to tell. That line in the middle is pretty much acts like a spine for strength in the middle of the blade. Usually daggers are sharpened on both ends in order to be, under definition, a dagger. Yeah, I could be wrong, but as far as I know of, it should be two even ends to be considered a dagger. That's interesting.
And judging from that line and the fact that it's a dagger and the shape of it, this is, purely a stabbing weapon. Like, yeah, you can cut and slash, but it's meant to shank motherfuckers. Let's just be real.
Yeah, but only one side. I mean, its slicing capabilities are limited to just one side.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's something that a dagger does not have.
Right.
That I know of, traditional daggers, they're very much the right hand side is a mirror of the left hand side. The top is a mirror of the bottom.
Right.
So
Exactly.
you pretty much, when you bevel it out, that you bring it into the blade part, you have four. If you look at it from de la punta pa dentro, it'll look like a diamond. It'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. Creating the thick ridge in the middle, which is that line that we see there, I think.
Yeah.
And that'll be traditional dagger. I'm looking at that. Yeah, it has the shape of a dagger, but yeah, it's limited to that one side as far as slashing is concerned.
Yeah, that's true.
And it doesn't look like it has the medial ridge dead center, because what looks like it's dead center is the very peak of that intricate.
So could that just be a deep bevel?
It could very well be, but it's kind of awkward looking. When you start analyzing it, it's just like, I mean, I don't want to criticize in a negative way. I'm sure it's, as far as functionality is concerned, it might be, but it is, I would put that more aesthetic, less functionality.
Yeah, especially
as far as function, the biggest issue, I'm sorry, John, the biggest issue that I see would be, I mean, it's replicating a certain era, a certain time, and that time and era within warfare, they weren't fighting for a couple of hours, for a couple of days. These motherfuckers were going at it indefinitely.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, due to the designs that it has in the handle, after a while, that should start biting into the hands.
That's what I was gonna jump into. That's the elephant in the room for real. That hilt is intricate, absolutely beautiful. El puño here.
Oh yes, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, el puño here is probably some sort of gemstone. I couldn't find a picture of that like angle. Is it what?
Butt cap.
Butt cap, right. Entonces, but
dude, we watch a lot of Forge and Fire. It's a butt cap.
Right. But I mean, as pretty as it is to look at, two things. First, it's gonna bite into your own hand, just like you were saying. And second, like, this thing is see-through. It's hollow, entre comillas, kind of, sorta. It's not like a solid handle. You feel me? So that's gonna lose. It's the same reason you don't take a combat knife, hollow it out, and then put like make it into a.
Now I will tell you this though. I will tell you this. If that is one piece of metal, which means that automatically means, one, that's a master bladesmith. Two, that shit is going absolutely nowhere. You can hit it you can run over it with a fucking Panzer and nothing's gonna happen to it.
Who the hell is gonna be able to do that? No.
Yeah, that's true.
You isolate the blade, bring out the rest, right? You isolate the blade, and without profiling it completely, once it's isolated, you know how they do the bolster in one piece also, which is leaving that thick middle. Well, then that would end up being the bolster there, the handle. The rest of it, you take it con un cortafrío, and you take your stock. Your stock maybe only gives you for about 3 strips. You need 4. So what you do, you widen it out and elongate it until you can bring it out and stretch the metal for 4. Split it, heat it, and then do your twist at the end.
Right. Yeah. So
you would have to be a master bladesmith, but theoretically, like, would that be able to be done in one piece? Fuck yeah. I'm pretty sure either David Baker or this dude, Ilya. I'm pretty sure they'll fucking do that shit. I'm pretty fucking sure they'll be able to do that shit, and they'll use pretty much that same technique.
So that's the only
power hammers.
Yeah, with big blues. But I mean, that's the only workaround, because if it's one solid piece of metal, like you're saying, then okay, it might be valuable, except for the whole grip thing. But if it's not like that, then you're begging that handle to snap off and not give you stability, because
If
you
it
don't.
is done in one piece, or if somebody was to do that in one piece,
Mhm.
no matter what you pay them, you still owe them.
No
I don't
kidding.
give a fuck what number you pull out of your brain. You still owe them some change, dude.
Well, shit. I mean, this little replica is how much? It says $30, but that can't be right. So this for all I know, this shit is plastic.
Go ahead, let's see something else.
So this one here, and I'll have to zoom in on that one.
Yeah, you gotta zoom in.
So
What in the chicken foot fuck is that?
exactly.
Nah, you got to use it.
So this is a Mesopotamian gold and silver axe head. The shaft of the axe, pause, it would go down here, right? And then you bludgeon motherfuckers with this side here, right?
Gotcha.
So it's an impact weapon. It's not an edge weapon.
Yeah, it has to be an impact weapon.
Correct. It says it's an axe head, but I mean theoretically you could sharpen that. I don't know. I don't see why not. But yeah, no.
That's
So it's
really old.
The
Yeah.
metal.
hmm
It's like if it's a mild steel, a mild type of metal, well, you can use it to bludgeon until the cows come home,
yeah.
and it's just lo que va a hacerlo hundirse más y hacerse más redondo.
Mhm.
But if you
That's
wanted
true.
to hold an edge on mild steel, after a couple of skulls, that shit has no. Brittany's like, I wouldn't want to get hit with that.
Hey, Britt. No, I still wouldn't want to get hit with that either.
And
If it
so
was
right,
mild steel and you wanted it to have an edge on it, it won't hold.
yeah, exactly. So this here, and here we go with the aesthetics once more. It doesn't, it's an incomplete weapon. It doesn't have the shaft. I don't know if it broke off or never got installed, but here you have a bird-headed demon.
Es que es un canto madera del tiempo de Mesopotamia para acá.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly,
Difficult to find,
exactly.
if at all.
Break it down, John.
So here you have a bird-headed demon, a two-headed bird-headed demon. This guy here is a boar, and essentially the rest of
Really?
it here, yeah, and the rest
That's
of
a
it
boar?
here, yeah, and the rest of it
Okay.
here is essentially a dragon. So two-headed bird head demon guy, a boar, and a dragon. It's silver, and you can tell where the gold is, like the body of the boar here, and the heads of the bird.
Wow.
Silver, like silver, the metal silver,
I believe so. Let me
or silver just in color. What do you?
No,
Because if it's silver, as in silver, I don't think silver holds an edge. So that's definitely a bludgeoning weapon. There's no
Yeah.
other way.
see.
And that's probably casted.
Yeah,
That's something you also got to see. Casted is not the same as forged.
exactly. So it's not. Well, it just describes gold and silver. So I would assume it's silver, the metal, and that just goes back to what I was saying earlier. This is not something that belonged to like a commoner or some dude who just decided on a whim to join the army.
No.
Turn it the other way around, and as a handle for something like a ginunting.
Yeah, seriously.
Holy shit, bro.
Yeah.
Go ahead, next one.
So let's
Got
see.
me amped on this shit. I'm loving it.
Let me see if I can get you a little more in just a tiny bit before I bounce. Okay, yeah. So they found that basically in like modern day Middle East. And I'm gonna switch it up, and let's do a
Boom.
fire. So this one's a Colt Third Model Dragoon percussion rifle. I don't know what most of those words even mean.
Percussion means it has a hammer, and that's how it lets loose of the
El tiro.
projectile out of a
Right.
casing.
Exactly. So it would be this.
Remember, before that, a lot of it was through spark, through flint, through lighting of a cord. You know, you actually had to give a physical lighting to the
Ignition.
black powder
Mhm.
in order
Mhm.
to create that expansion of air and push everything forward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the exacts on that, but it was at a date a little bit before this where they actually started putting it inside of a case, thus being able to carry with you, reload, and
Right.
Mr.
Exactly.
Was it Smith Wesson? No, Winchester.
Well, this one is
Winchester.
for.
Fuck, I forgot. Whoever, if somebody knows, put it up in the comments. If not, we'll try to retract
Yeah. As far as
further
the
along.
you mean like as far as the repeating rifle or the actual handgun?
The actual poniendo el fusil adentro de lo que hoy se llama una bala.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
The actual putting the slug inside of a casing, because you have slug and like a bit of wad, then you have your black powder all inside of a casing
Yeah.
that's tightened around everything, and then what's going to open it is the explosion, the ignition of the black powder. You look at the other side of a bullet, and there's like a little hole, like a little circle on the backside of the bullet. That bullet on the other side has, I guess, kind of like the flint,
Yeah.
which is what's going to ignite the powder inside, pushing the projectile out. That itself was a technology that changed the fucking world. It changed the whole fucking game. Unfortunately, in a negative way, but that's what changed everything.
Well,
That's what
isn't that
percussion needs. It needs pack. It needs the hit of the hammer in order to cause that.
So this one, just some text on this one. So early American arms usually were plain serviceable weapons intended for hunting and self-defense. By the mid-19th century, the increasing wealth and sophistication of the middle class made a new demand for decorated things like this. So the new era of creativity began with the arrival of German-born gun engravers and die cutters. And they basically, got that going. Now, as far as this gun specifically,
Can
this
you zoom in more?
Yes, this
Please?
model is actually.
Thank you.
No problem. So this model is actually part of a pair. The other one was presented to the Tsar of Russia, and this is also considered one of Coates' masterpieces. Which, I mean, hard not to see why.
It is beautiful.
Yeah. So basically, and and it has gold inlaid revolvers. This was actually part of 3 pairs. So it's not just this one and one more. It's 3 whole pairs.
And just to let everybody know, if and it looks like it is, if that weapon, that impact weapon, because that's what guns are, they're impact weapons. If that impact weapon, where you see anything gold, none of that is structural. You cannot use gold for anything that has to do with structure. It won't hold up.
Yeah.
So something like that, the first blast, you'll end up with pieces of gun flying everywhere, and the bullet might just drop in the same fucking place.
Exactly.
The shrapnel will be worse than the actual bullet.
Yeah, assuming that shit doesn't just like melt on you, but yeah.
Hold on, John. I wanted to ask. You said it was 3 pairs, so is that meaning a total of 6 guns or 3 guns?
A total of 6.
Cool.
Yeah, and the mate of this one was presented to the Tsar of Russia.
The Tsar of Russia.
Yeah,
Okay.
and those guns were made around the time where when the Crimean War broke out. So
Right.
yeah, that's the history on that one.
What else you got?
Now for this
Yeah.
one. Okay.
Nah, you gotta zoom in more, bro.
Zoom in more. You got it. All right.
It has a pommel.
Yeah.
That's definitely done by hand, because if you were to measure that with today's technology, that's off a bit.
Yeah.
But that is beautiful. To do that by hand.
So the era of this sword is like from 1600 to 1625.
Right.
This sword is a fine example of the most fashionable type that was worn by noblemen in England at the time of King James the First.
Mm-hmm.
The silver panels on the hilt were made by an unknown London craftsman and are masterpieces of miniature relief sculpture.
Mm-hmm.
And the blade itself is like it has etching, and it is signed. Somewhere in here is the signature of Clemens Horn, a renowned bladesmith from Solingen, Germany.
If I'm not mistaken, usually those things are
Mm.
close to the hilt,
Yeah, yeah. The actual
like
blade.
around the ricasso area is
Uh-huh.
where you find it. At least on Japanese blades, I think that's where you'll find it. If it's not actually inside the tank.
Do you mean the signature or?
No, wait, not the Japanese. German, I think. Don't
Okay.
quote me on that, guys. You know what I mean? I make mistakes too. I'm just learning.
Yeah, I know the Japanese swords, like this little area right here, right where the like the blade starts.
Yeah.
That's where they put Japanese characters for, the name of the sword, the name of the blacksmith, an inspirational message, a motto. But it usually goes in this little area right here.
All right.
And again, like this is what was fashionable for noblemen. See the art, the engraving. Do you know how hard it is to take a chisel and a hammer and engrave shit? Now imagine doing that like in that small area with the relief sculptures and all that.
No, you watch the videos on Torre del Viejo. You see me etching, doing little fucking muñecos on the blades. No, there's a fucking reason.
Yeah. If it looks good, it looks good. All right. Now we're more. Shit. Yeah. Now we're more in a Joy's alley.
Mira, está bailando. Wow.
Yeah. So, what are your? Okay. So, before I get Joey's initial thoughts, this is a Persian inlaid dagger.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Right. And lots and lots of gold.
You gotta zoom in, man. Why you?
So that's
fucking
a Persian...
table dancing with the shit. Don't tease, motherfucker. Show it. That shit is dope.
Yeah, it's Persian, and what else can I say except gold, gold, gold? That's a lot of gold on it. Even the hilt. Y tiene una cabra right there on the en el puño.
A ram's head.
A ram, yeah.
That is gorgeous. Y déjame decirte, un cantazo con ese ram's head te pone a dormir, papá. Y te pone a dormir forever.
Just like an actual ram headbutting you. I think that's what the guy was thinking when he thought of that. Yeah. So
that is a slicer. That is a stabber. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I haven't been asking. Your opinion. We could start with this one. Your opinion on the ratio of aesthetic and utility. So, is it 10-10? Right. Is it 0-0? Is it this one 10, this one 5?
I would like to see it from the top so I can look at the spine and see just how thick the spine is. If it tapers from thick to thin, meaning from spine to blade, if it tapers well, then it's definitely also a stabber because it has the shape for it.
Yeah.
If not, because you can't tell from the picture, that's a slice. You're not worrying about killing somebody. You're just cutting steaks.
Yeah, you're doing damage.
Yeah,
you're doing serious fucking damage.
You see that the way. Fuck. Let me grab one of these knives. So perfect. No.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, you only got 11.
So we're working on the handle. Of this one, right?
Nice.
But okay, what would be on that blade? This part here, this belly.
See.
Okay. What happens is when you start cutting around here with this part and you pull through, this belly comes out So it gives you extra cut. And also that angle, the weight within the weapon. So as you pull, then the rest of the blade falls through with it. The actual geometry or the profile of the way the blade is, um, it affects how it cuts tremendously.
Yeah, exactly.
Tremendously.
Yeah.
How thick the bevels are. If the blade, the bevel, the part that starts getting thin, right? Boom. If it starts from here, if it starts from here, usually like axes and stuff will only have a little bit of a bevel, a little bit right here. Kitchen knives here, uh, fucking steak carving stuff, butchery, but más arriba. Depending on how much you want it to cut, is how deep the bevels are gonna come through. More bevel, more cutting area.
Hmm. And
Otherwise, the thickness, what it do is whatever it is you're cutting, it will split it. It would have to split it open. And in that split, it makes the fibers of whatever's on the inside where the blade is trying to go through, it'll tighten it and won't allow it to go through as much because it'll get stuck. Which is
Okay,
why you don't carve steaks or vegetables with an axe.
right.
Because no matter how sharp it is, it's gonna smash it more than cut it.
So, do you know what
So we
this
would
blade
have
is
to
for?
that's think of it as a sidearm. It's
Okay.
the Persian army. You have your main weapons depending on what your position is. Your shield and sword, shield and spear, your javelin. You're an archer. You got your bow and arrows. When shit hits the fan and motherfuckers get too close to you, or your main weapon gets lost, broken, whatever, that's your shit hits the fan weapon. That's your sidearm. So you pull
So
that out.
that's the scene in the fight in the movie where the guy got me against here, and I reach for my dagger and I pull it out, and that saves me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And also piggybacking off what Joey was saying, the geometry of the weapon, the weapon greatly affects what it's good for. You have swords that are good for slashing, swords that are good for stabbing, etc. And
Right.
people and cultures that use those weapons end up using martial arts that specialize in whatever that weapon is for, which creates an interesting what came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, the weapon or the martial arts? So we know that musketeers, they use rapiers, and rapiers is all thrusting, all stabbing. You've seen Zorro, whatever. So what came first, the rapier or the musket or fencing, basically? Did somebody try that with a stick
Well, I
first
don't know
or
about
punching
the
first?
rapier, but
Mhm.
one thing we can look at is
It's a
the
good point.
situation, whatever situation it may be, right?
Mhm.
Probably made both things be born at the same time.
That's
The
true.
need for fighting, and because a lot of what we understand are weapons now have been modified, originally
Mhm.
were tools.
Right. Like
That's
farmers using their
So
scythes.
technically, the weapon was already there. What wasn't there was the word and the understanding of it being a weapon.
Gotcha. That makes
that's
sense. That makes a
yeah, and
lot of sense.
that does make sense, and it also makes sense like what situation made this necessary. Are you in the middle of a war? Is it for self-defense? Is it peacetime and you're bored, or you want to imitate your ancestors? What made this become a thing? And that also is a factor that should be considered.
And it could be something as simple as there's snakes in your rice field.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's centipedes in your yard. I mean,
it's it's
definitely.
it's a thing.
Ooh, this is
And
nice.
yeah, and this is essentially the same thing. It's a Persian silver inlaid dagger, and more or less the same era. Um, Slightly different style. It's made out of a different metal. It's silver, and I feel if you compare it to this one has its little thing right here, its little decoration. That might be a family emblem or something. I don't know. But for the most part, the blade is relatively untouched as far as like
That's a
aesthetics
fighter.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this one not so much. The blade has a lot going on. It has almost like a Damascus. It has a lot
Well,
of
bring it up close so
patterns.
we can see the metal.
Absolutely.
Why you keep on pulling back, dude?
Let's see, lots going on there as far as almost like a Damascus.
Okay.
And
So I got a question. I don't know if you were able to answer it.
mhm.
Is it Persian because that's where it's coming from? Or is it Persian because of the same way we call it a Damascus blade from Damascus is something that is a style that's similar to, it's a kind of design that's similar to. So
Okay.
what makes it a Persian blade? Does anyone know that question?
In this case, it's called that because that's where it comes from. Um, a lot of desert dwelling cultures, and I actually don't know why, but a lot of desert dwelling cultures, they have curvy swords. They don't have straight swords like knights do, or anything like that. They have a lot of curvy swords. You have the scimitar, which is a big fat curved sword, and it has an enormous belly. You have this. You have the
Cutting capability.
yeah. So they really favor slashing. They really favor slashing. I don't know the historical context behind it, but it's all slashing weapons and it's all curvy blades. Lots of
Horse
curvy
and
blades.
camelback. Horse and camelback. So you
Hmm.
want something curved to make sure you don't hurt yourself or the horse while you're riding. You got
That
to keep
makes
it away from his ribs.
that makes sense.
As you go through, you're not just cutting where you impact. As you ride through, you're making the cut deeper and more effective.
Oh, so you like what? Like a drive-by?
And as far as something like that, I mean, you get a better angle. The as far as nature is concerned, animals, snakes, spiders, and scorpions is what you find mostly in the desert, right? That
Sure,
that
sure.
that can really fuck you up.
Yeah.
Usually under rocks. If you're gonna lift under a rock, you want something like that that has a curve that could allow you to drop it, drop the rock or get out of the way quicker than if
Or
you have
pride?
something straight because then your hand will be in the way.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see.
That makes sense. And another thing, it the particular country it comes from escapes me, but there's a weapon called a shotel that's basically it looks almost like a question mark. Like it goes straight
Yeah.
like this, has a very exaggerated curve, it goes back and then straight up again. And obviously a slashing weapon. And the main purpose of that one is to go around shields because of that giant loop like that. Um, it goes around the shields, and it while you're holding your shield, it pokes you around your shield. So, and it goes back to what we were saying. It just depends on the context, why you have this weapon, what situation is making this weapon necessary to be made or to be used, and definitely something to consider. And look at this one.
Well, I also have a few here. Let me see if I could actually find them and put them up here.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. Can you guys see?
It's still loading. There we go. Oh, nice. I got luck.
A war galak.
Mm-hmm.
I love these things, and to me it's beautiful because it's functional.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that shit is gonna take something off.
Yeah. That that
Definitely take
that ain't
something.
that ain't leaving no paper cuts.
Oh hell no, hell no. As you can tell here, it has the bevel from this line going down. So you have
Yeah.
one blade here. You have the other blade over here. And all of this in the middle is actually hollowed out.
Hmm.
So it kind of, if you were to look at it, it kind of looks like two mountains.
Mm-hmm.
The valley, the peak, back down, up another peak, and back down.
Mm-hmm.
And that guarantees that this blade is a lot lighter than what it looks.
Yeah, it
You
has
look at
less.
it and you're like, wow, that thing can definitely take off a head, but it looks like a heavy, a heavy player.
Yeah.
Those things are very light, making it very, very dangerous.
Yeah, to make that a valley in the middle, you're taking off material, and if you have less material, it'll weigh less. That makes sense.
On both sides.
Okay, so
So it's not
on
like
the
it's
bottom.
flat on the other side, on both sides.
Now, why does the tip, why is it just straight like that? Any particular reason?
I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea, but if it was
Mhm.
me, I'd actually blade it.
You would sharpen that too?
I'd actually sharpen it there, yeah.
Yeah.
But I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. Let's see. These are examples of bolos. Can you see them?
Yeah.
Bolo.
Yep, these are Philippine bolos. And bolo pretty much translates to machete.
Okay. A
Okay.
word, a word that we're
Look
very familiar
how,
with.
yes, this is something very interesting. You would look at them and be like, you know what? That's a lot of blade to be carried by such a small neck.
Mm-hmm.
But you can automatically tell right through here, through this particular line of the light hitting it, that this is a lot thicker than it is here.
Yeah.
I forgot who it was. Maybe it was David Baker that said that you should always look at your distal taper, which means the thickness between this part here and the tip of the blade.
Okay.
And it should be 70% of what you started to 30% of what you started with.
Mm,
That's how
okay.
the angle should be, no matter what the blade.
If if
Now
if you
you
have
get
a
the
if
tip.
you have a blade, I'm sorry, if you have a blade that is more uniform, like 100 on from start to finish, do you have a bad blade or a different type of blade?
You have a heavy fucking blade.
Okay. Yeah, that's like
Bien,
claymores
bien
and
pesado.
yeah, that's shit for
Bien pesado
beheading and
y dependiendo de, estoy como Joel, ¿verdad? Depende.
depende.
Depending on what you want to do with it, it might actually be unwieldable.
Okay.
You know, you can use a machete, what we call a mocho. You can use a kitchen knife, a butcher's knife to cut grass outside in the tropics. But if you try to do that shit with a crusader sword, te vas a cagar en tu madre.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not going to get it done. It's too heavy. It doesn't matter how sharp it is, you know. So with this, what he was able to do is make sure that no matter how hard he swings, this will be able to hold all the impact.
Yeah.
See? So it gives it that curve,
Gotcha.
it gives it that Indonesian flavor, but also allows for the belly to be there, causing most of the weight to go forward when you swing.
Mm-hmm.
Functionality. You want the blade to help you do what you have to do.
Yeah.
See, a misconception is that the blade does everything. The blade cuts no matter what, but if you just leave the blade there, it does nothing.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you have to work in unison.
Okay, that makes sense.
And you see that. An Igorot headhunting axe. I don't have to explain more. It's for headhunting.
Right.
That is, in my opinion, I don't like axes, but that shit is sexy as hell.
It's like a guillotine meets a pickaxe almost.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, because the, the
And do
the
you see how this curve is here?
yeah.
The curve in the top spine. I'm calling it a spine. I don't actually know what the top of an axe would be called, but
Yeah.
you can see this curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now think of it. If it was in your hands, you'd also be throwing it with a curve, no matter how straight your arm is. So that curve is probably designed perfectly to give you a clean, straight cut. Though though you're throwing with two circles, you're throwing with that. It has a curve, which is a circle, plus your arm, which is going in a curve in a circle. You're still making a perfectly straight cut.
Wow.
thus being able to take off a head. There goes the head hunting axe.
Mm.
To me, that is functionality and art at the same time.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique looking weapon.
Let's see, because I have quite a few. The pira, also Philippine, if I'm not no. The pira is, you know what? I'm not even gonna say because I completely forgot.
Me too.
But look at this. Look at this curve. You see that? The
Hmm.
the the drop clip. The drop
Yeah.
clip is what they call it, Sandy.
Yeah, the drop clip.
This thing will definitely hurt you if he catches you in your eye, and depending on what it is, no matter where he catches you, this is gonna do some damage.
Yeah.
That
Now,
I call that the
where
sting.
right where I see the art in this is that if I'm not mistaken, traditionally this is done the same way that they do the katanas. That curve that the katanas have, and this is why they say every blade has its own personality, it's its own entity, its own life. It has life in it, and each one is going to be different.
Hmm.
If I am not mistaken, traditionally, the way that is done, that is actually forged straight, and it is in the the heat quench, right? That it actually bends by itself. What you do is you heat one side, the bottom, I believe it is. You heat the bottom, which causes things, which heat causes it to causes metal to expand. So I think
Hmm.
you heat the bottom while with you take clay and kind of make it into a plaster with ashes, and different cultures have their different recipes. You put that on the spine, you heat it up, the
Uh-huh.
whole thing to red hot, then you quench it. Some quench just the edge, some do the whole blade nose first, some do it the whole blade but blade first. And depending on how it is that you quench it, if you're successful, you will literally in front of your eyes see the blade start going as it cools down, and it does it all by itself on a chemical level, thus coming to life.
And
And lots of times and there are times where it'll happen where like they're like boom, it didn't work, and they don't want to give it too much time, and when they pull it out, you'll see the puff of fire, woof, and that's when they would say that it was finally blessed by the gods, be it Chango, be it Thor, be it Odin. But they'll say that's when it was blessed because it'll whoosh, and as soon
mhm.
as the fire lets go, you'll see it start
Nice.
as it cools, giving it its own curve.
I looked it up super quick, and a pira is also a type of bolo, also from the Philippines.
So it is from the Philippines. Okay.
Yeah.
I have quite a few of the apalai. Beautiful, as you could tell, the belly. That's definitely a slasher.
Hmm.
These are different types. This is
Yeah.
cool
I had a diagram like that
because I
once,
want to show
but
you something else.
for drawing.
Your machete, your gladius, your short sword, falcon. The Argentinian falcon is a kind of like a steak knife, and it's very similar to this,
Hmm.
to the falcon.
I was surprised how
Thou,
look at those blades there, Claymore
the
and
Jian. I believe the Jian is the one that they found that was still razor sharp after
yeah,
2,000 years.
it was
Yep.
a Jian. Yeah, not a Dao. It was a Jian. And I was reading how those go up a little bit. You see those big blades, Zwei Honda and Claymore.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
I was reading that as big as they are, you have to wield them with two hands and all that shit. But as big as they are, they're smart with how they use the material and how they take some away. Kind of like the bolo you were showing before. So as big as those
Mhm.
motherfuckers are, they only weigh about 20 pounds or less. Which,
True.
considering you're only holding it
Yeah,
with
but
two
holding
hands,
20 pounds and swinging that shit around is not easy.
yeah, no, it's not. But
I'm looking for a specific one. Oh, that is gorgeous. That is so gorgeous. This has that medial ridge that we were talking about earlier.
Uh-huh.
Let me zoom in on this real quick because I got better pictures than what John did. You see this? Esto definitivamente está levantado. And it goes all the way from the tip, perfectly at the tip, boom, coming down. So when you stab, all of the pressure that comes in here is directed through this spine and then dispersed through the rest of the metal. And most times from here back is not as hard as this over here, meaning that all the metal in here will act kind of like a shock absorber,
the
not
tang?
allowing anything to just explode.
Do you mean like the tang that's in the handle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm looking for a specific. Oh man, beautiful! Look at that, another pita,
Oh,
gorgeous. Woof! Look at
Oof.
that. But I am looking for. Oh, okay. Those who have been following us, and I keep talking about, I'm trying to make a miniature charai. This is a charai.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Now, when you say miniature,
Forgive me, everyone out there. I think my nipples just got hard. This shit is fucking gorgeous, especially considering that this spine here is a T-back. It's a T-spine. If you look at it from the tip, this right here will look like the letter T.
Mm-hmm.
That is gorgeous. I'm trying to make a miniature one, and
so
I have to forge in that T-back.
To give us a little reference, usually how long is the average one of those, and how long is the miniature one you have in your head?
Well, the miniature, what I have in my head and what the metal's gonna let me do are two totally fucking different.
I mean, no doubt.
I'm still a rookie, you know what I mean? I'm still in diapers and this shit. But these things are, I think charais are typically around at least the blade itself, not the handle, just the blade, at least 15, 16 inches to like 20 maybe.
Okay.
That's not a dagger.
No. And the mini one you have in mind, assuming the metal cooperates, what were you thinking? How long, give or take?
I'm actually shooting for maybe 13, 14. Short.
Okay. So
that's including the handle, not just the blade.
Okay. So a little under half of that.
This is what I was looking for, because this is a perfect example. This is why I loved it when you came out with the idea for this show. This is from, and I love to say it, this is from our personal family collection.
Okay.
This is a Burmese. Hold on. I'm going to tell you guys in a second because they told me, okay, where is he at? David Baker. Yeah, I'm name dropping David Baker. Says it is a type of Burmese da. D-A.
Mm-hmm.
He said the quality of it is difficult to tell from the picture, but it definitely has some age and is definitely authentic.
Yeah, that handle.
Nobody is allowed to polish this at the house.
No.
Why not?
Because I believe it was once. I think once they actually did, unfortunately. But no one's allowed to polish that because you're taking away el relieve. How would you say that in English?
The relief.
The relief.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting chemicals on it. You know, we're not metallurgists, so we don't know exactly what it's made from. If something's gonna corrode it, if it's gonna clean it, if it's gonna, you know, there's certain things about, like a painting. There's certain things you should just leave to the pros.
Well, you and I have seen some paintings that left to the pros.
Yeah. Don't break my heart. Let's not get into that.
So
where? I mean,
assuming you don't know the origin of that blade, if you could go back, how far does it go, and where is it right now?
Right now, it's in a undisclosed place.
I can dig it.
It's safe. Um, it's
And
a
how?
heirloom, family heirloom. How it got into the family, I have no blazing idea.
That's an
Right.
undisclosed story.
That's need to know basis, and apparently I don't need to fucking know,
Oh, it's not fair.
so I don't ask. But look at that. I mean, look how huge right here in the picture, 1 inches. Look at all of these little details into making that rope
Yeah,
looking thing.
yeah.
Look at that. See, this is why this should be more pronounced.
Hmm.
Once again, we don't know how old it is, and what it's been through, its complete story. I can only tell you since I remember, since I was young till now, it was always taken care of, you know. But this should be more pronounced. You should be able to see this a lot more. I think in here is supposed to be a bird
Hmm.
or something like that. I know there are definitely animals on the side, and this is just the sheath. Boom. Then you get to the handle, and you have all of that. I think I have a better picture. There we go.
No, okay.
Look at that. That is crazy. Look at all these little dude.
Details. Yeah.
That's like rope design, right? It looks like rope.
Yeah.
So the question is, did they take a piece of metal, twist it to make it look like rope, and then use that and inlaid that? Or did they take a piece of metal and cut it to look like rope?
They probably banged on it from the other side.
Also, it's a relief in the sense, okay. Wow, that's a lot of fucking detail.
Yeah, for real.
There you go.
Biscuit.
It is a bird.
It's an owl. No, I'm serious. I think it's an owl.
Looks like it, yeah.
Here's another one.
Oh, that one's more like a
A
crow
crow or
or a
raven.
raven.
And I would probably say a raven because of the shape of the
beak.
beak.
Hmm. Yeah, that's fat.
Now, as far as the functionality of it, I can tell you firsthand, everything from here to the edge of the blade is solid. It doesn't jiggle. It doesn't feel like it's gonna fall out. I've never seen the inside, the tang part
Okay.
of this, and I've been seeing this since I was at least 4. I'm 46 now. I have never seen the tang.
Oh,
Not
you
that I've
old.
tried to pull it out, but look at the wood.
Mm.
Now I don't know much about wood. I'm not a carpenter, but yeah, that shit looks old.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's fat, man.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that cool?
And I want to say this would be the seam to the outer layer,
Hmm.
but I really don't think they put the seam right here where the seam of the wood is. That's just asking for it to split.
Hmm.
So with that in mind, it's very difficult to look at this thing and say this is the seam where they put the aluminum together. That is art. That is craftsmanship right there. Being
Yeah,
able to do that.
no doubt.
So yeah, that's from the personal collection. You know what I'm saying? It's just
So,
had to
John, do
throw
you
that
have
out of there.
anything else?
Just one more. Hold on.
Because for the last 20 minutes, I have a surprise. I have an interview with Sifu Raymond Diaz.
Yeah, and we just hit the hour.
Yeah, we did. um, can you
Got you.
is it Joy that puts me back
Yeah,
on?
Joey's
Okay.
in command there.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right there.
There it is.
Joey siempre pagando los platos rotos.
Yeah, and like the other ones we were looking at, this one's also a gold inlaid dagger, but it's from the Mughal Empire, which is basically like ancient India. And the lines on the blade itself that Joy was talking about, this one like takes it to a whole new level, I think.
Yeah, because it's three of
Yeah,
them.
yeah. I mean, that gives a lot of support for
Yeah.
that stabbing edge, but you would have to. I think you'd find yourself You guys do, Kali. You understand this. You find yourself obligated to stab in a number 5.
See,
Having that specific angle coming up right under the intestine.
Yeah.
If it was for function, apart from all the bling, the blade itself, it looks good.
Yeah.
Other than that as a slicer, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was the one I liked the most, but yeah, and that's what I had as far as my research and all that.
well, I just wanted to put my little 2 cents in, if I can interject before you bring up the
Please,
video.
yes. I'll be right back. Yeah, please do.
I since it was when art meets weapons, and I'm sure we were talking about visual art and the crafting, the craftsmanship. But of course, being the ELA teacher that I am, I looked into the literary arts.
Hmm.
And I just wanted to kind of like give a head nod to all those historical literary weapons that without it, people probably would not have even want to look further into that weapon, because that's where the myth comes in,
Yeah.
right? So you have the number one myth, according to a lot of lists, is you guys can guess. Come on.
Excalibur.
That's right. The Excalibur is the number one mythological weapon.
Hmm.
That's of King Arthur. That's when Arthur was a kid and he pulled it out of the stone. Or in other myth and legends, it was a gift from the Lady of the Lake,
Yeah.
which is another myth and lesson and legend. But there
El
are quite a
machete de
few.
Toño Bicicleta.
El qué?
El machete de Toño Bicicleta.
El machete de Toño Bicicleta. Okay.
That's a body joke. I know Giancarlo know what I'm talking about.
Sí, que vi que Janky estaba ahí. So you have the.
Well, those myths and legends. Well, they're called myths and legends because they're old. If they're newer, they're called rumors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
And you don't have to go too far because there's this. I'm sorry. There's this a bladesmith called Takahashi Naganobu, and one of his blades is rumored to have actually cut through a machine gun in World War II.
Oh shit.
Now, myths and legends, like they said around the world in 80 days, usually come from fact one way or another. And just to let you guys know, the more you shoot a gun, the more the nozzle heats up. And if it had heated up past a certain point, yes, it is very possible that a blade made by somebody who knew what the fuck they were doing can go through it.
And I'm sure Sandy will appreciate this, but a lot of those myths and legends, they have some truth into it. They get twisted and mystified a little bit, but in a lot of cases, they're also propaganda.
Oh yeah,
Depending
that's
on
the
the
whole
time and
point.
everything.
Oh, yeah.
You have to. Oh my gosh, that was something that we said in class today. We were looking at a poem. We were breaking down a poem, and it had to do with. It was an excerpt from. Uh, The Sound of Music,
Hmm.
and it was an excerpt from The Sound of Music, and basically what it was saying was that, and when it was talking about war, and how the orators of war, the ones who want to start the war, will always make it sacred. In other words, will create this environment of making it worth, because what idiot would fight for something that's not sacred?
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like basically explaining, be careful who you're listening to, and how they present it to you. And the kids are obviously, they made the connection immediately with the war that's happening right now. They're like, so wait a minute, what they're saying is, I was like, unfortunately, this is nothing new in human behavior, and it's just presented differently, it's just fought differently, but it's still ultimately the same concept. And they're like, okay. So, and that's basically what I just wanted to do. I didn't want to go too long into a list, but I just wanted to just kind of like make some honorable mentions. um you'll have Grammar the Sword from Volsunga saga, and that's basically Icelandic, about a warrior named Sigmund, not the same Sigmund from Wohlhinder von Schafts.
That was
It's this,
Siegfried.
a what?
Siegfried.
Siegfried, yeah. So it was Sigmund, not Siegfried. But basically, this is what they believe inspired Tolkien to write about the Hobbit and the Red Dragon and the Hobbit. You know, it was that same lore that, you know, they were creating this mythical blade that killed the one dragon with one thrust.
Hmm.
You know, so it was just one of those. But then there was just so many, and you have the Sul Sulfikar, I think it's called Sulfikar. It's a gift to the Prophet Muhammad, and this one looked nasty. It looked like a double pronged blade at the end. So it started off with one hilt. It has the desert dwelling, but at the end it looks like it has a forked tongue.
Oh
That's basically
wow.
what it looks like,
Yes,
but it's
I've
not
seen
short.
that one.
Woo!
I've seen that
Oh,
one
that's-
too.
and yeah, and so, but these are all famous blades. So I just wanted to kind of like make a head nod on the art of storytelling and
Mm.
lore, and how that is also entwined with that detail and functionality, because it does have another function, which is the art of storytelling behind those weapons. So I thought that that was kind of cool.
No doubt.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, you depending on the evolution of the weapon is the evolution of that society
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
that's wielding it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's like that. You could tell a lot about society by the weapons that they wield, that they prefer, or that are culturally part of their lives.
Hmm.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the video, and at any moment you guys tell me pause if you have something to interject.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm
it
gonna
was
put
a
myself on
complete
mute just in case,
pleasure.
because I don't want to confuse what you guys are saying. So
Let me see. Share screen, window. Here we go. Can you guys see it? Hold on.
You may have to hit.
And
You gotta hit play, but besides that, I can see it.
hold on. I'm trying to. It's being a pain right now. Tech gremlins being a.
In my house, we're
There we
okay,
go.
but the background is okay, right?
We're fantastic. We're fantastic. So sequel. Can you see it?
Yes.
Pardon me.
No.
I always have to smoke a cigarette when I'm having an intelligent conversation with people. Well, nice to see you. Oh, for some reason it's not coming out. We can't see it. Hold on. Let me try one more time. You guys cover a little bit of time. Let me see if I can get this rolling.
okay, well, I can still talk about the other swords that I researched, and this really nifty. I'll try to make a copy in the link with this with the comments.
I'm disappointed our cultures don't have any mainstream Excalibur level
Fantastic.
mystical weapons, you know, like
Well, I mean, metallurgy is not something that we really did too much of, you know,
yeah, or
because
even like the Haitians
There we
with
go.
the machete that started it. Yeah.
Always in it.
if you put yourself on mute, we can't hear it.
Is when art meets weaponry. Good.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
believe specifically edge weapons.
Edge weapon.
Now I've had weapons like I bought in the past before the martial arts when I was young, because I'm Puerto Rican, so since I was 4 years old, I had a knife somewhere. It's just part of our DNA. And I've had knives where you try to cut something, you work with them, they break, or they look pretty, but they're not really functional. They'll look like some kind of dragon. And it's like there's no way you can use that in a real fight without hurting yourself. And that's like contrary to what a weapon should be. Wasn't it Leo Gaje that said an edge weapon should be an equalizer, making you equal to the person. You attack me, now we're equal. Let's see what you want to do.
Yes.
Is there any like specific shapes or weights or things that as a martial artist, as a Kali guy, we should be looking for? Because like I know if a stick is too big, maybe you can train with it, but it's not really applicable for fighting. You know, unless you're gonna go two-handed like a bat or something like that.
Now you said like a blade could be an equalizer, right? And yes, that is true. But I specifically like for meaning like a blade could be an equalizer, or you take out your blades and then I'll take out mine, and now you say, oh, it's blade per blade, right? But I believe that first of all, I personally like a small blade because it's hard to see, and the things that you can't see could be more deceiving. And you know, I personally like to say, hey, I mean, the person has the blade, right? So my life is at risk. I'm gonna say, hey, I don't want no problem, but yet be able to surprise you and come up with something, you know?
Pause.
My weapon,
Time.
ownership.
Sandy, allow me. ¿De dónde diablos sacó ese cuchillo?
From his third arm. We always told you that we call him the alluring for a reason.
God.
Okay?
I don't want no problems.
That's our people, man. We love you, Raymond.
In a surprise manner, effectively to do something, but not to even the odds to say you're gonna run away, because if someone is taking out a knife on me, it really means danger.
They're serious about it.
I have when I want to equalize it in a surprising manner, right? Yes. Like the element of surprise is what's really all about. What you want to look out for, and that's why you have to be aware and not really think of things that are going on, but be totally aware. Like for instance, I remember seeing an instance where these guys were arguing, right? And then all of a sudden, a piece was supposedly be made, right? So the guy shake hands, and they turn around and say, hey, all right, I see you. And he turns around and goes, whoa! Oh, wow. You know? See, element of surprise again. That other guy was, you know, very good. Yeah. I don't.
Question: would the shorter blades be a personal? Like, is it Raymond's choice? Like that's just your style. Some people like spaghetti over ravioli, or is it because you're close quarters?
No, I think it really has to do with my teacher Joseph Musey's insight. Honestly, what I have learned predominantly, in advice and so forth, is comes from him, right? So he was the one that what I'm sharing with you, he shared with me about the element of surprise, the knife, and all of that. And he can say it a lot more eloquent than me, right? But
well, I hope to one day have both of you at the same time on the podcast. That would just be mind blowing.
That would be fat.
So with him, would it be because of the fact that we're very much close quarter, or with him would it just be a matter of I think this extends better or it feels better in the person's hands?
Well, I think it's two things. The first thing is the experience in life. We were born up and raised in New York City in a period of time where it was very rough, and
here we go to an example of how the different communities, different societies have their different weapons.
Right.
They evolve hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one part. Then second, my teacher, Joe, he really did hands-on in security at the library of New York Public 42nd Street. He helped clean up that place. So he had a lot of hands-on and saw a lot in his life. I leveraged from his knowledge and picking up things that you don't necessarily pick up just by learning weapon fighting. There are things that you see in your life that also help you in your weapon fighting. Yes, and Joe has an extensive knowledge in weapon fighting. But what I want to mention is that the practicality of the experience of life, one needs to take a lot into consideration, because you could have a big knife with you and so forth, and actually it can scare people away, but it also can put you into jeopardy, because it is an intimidating weapon, one, and be unlawful, and second, you're not really dealing with the element of surprise. And I was taught, and this is one of my major attributes that I seek, is the element of surprise. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, any weapon that you have in your hand should eventually, with understanding, become an extension of your body, right?
Most definitely. But before I get there, I'd like to mention something about a long blade, right? Now, let's say,
yes, please.
Let's say I'm in a situation, all right, where I have to pick two blades, and because it's on, and I recognize the situation is on. Hey, brother, I'm gonna pick up the machete and put the short blade in my somewhere in my body, in case I lose the machete, I got that element of surprise on me, right? So yes, it all has to do with circumstances, right? But nevertheless, the element of surprise even supersedes all of that other stuff. Okay, What was that? Oh, that about the weapon being an extension of you, most definitely.
Yes.
And in Kali, we specifically say that what we seek for is what is called body mechanics. That when, for instance, like execute, that's the hand doing it. Body mechanics is when your body is the author, when your hand has skillfulness, but your body is making it happen. For that,
el cuerpo es el que lo lleva.
Right.
John's like, God damn it, yeah.
Blade is an extension. It feels, not only does it feel, but it is an extension of your body, not of your hand, of your body.
Okay, so piggybacking on that, you've always told me, because when I started with you guys, I had issues. Let's leave it like that. I had serious issues. And you always told me you have to find the balance. It can't all be yin. It cannot all be yang. There has to be a balance for everything to even itself out.
Mhm.
Now, if you are an aggressive person, what would be a better blade? A blade that's more aggressive, or something that can bring out the yin? I mean, it's hard to even talk about that because it's a weapon. So there's but so much peace behind it. I find peace when I train. But once again, if you're an aggressive person, should you be going with an aggressive knife or something a bit more passive?
I don't know how to answer that question because I'm not too sure if I'm understanding it. But allow me to interject this to see if I'm in the same line of thought. That whatever one does, clarity of mind is indispensable and cannot be overtaken over anything. That's why we say in the martial arts, there is something that does not move. We need to guard our heart and have clarity of mind in whatever we pursue. We cannot let rage take over because you make mistakes, you don't see things clearly. You're not going to be that great technician as if you hold guard, clarity of mind, and you hold guard your heart. That you can be like a lion. Stab it to the attack. Look, stop at a time because you have moral values that you put later compass in you, and you want to make your mind your best friend. You want to live your last day in your life saying, hey, man, I wouldn't change anything. Not because of a ravaged anger. There's too much of that nowadays. Clarity of mind, guard your heart, then you are capable of learning such a lethal weapon, which I am more than a gun, to be honest with you, in many ways. But if you do not know how to guard your heart and have clarity of mind, you're more safer without a weapon. That is my opinion.
Very true. Very true. Well, I had asked because when we were coming up with the idea for this podcast, it occurred to me, it's like, yeah, a person that's aggressive, something like an axe is very heavy. To me, it's very aggressive because there's a lot of energy behind it in order for it to execute. And at least if you're upset taking down a tree and you swing an axe, 90% you're gonna hurt yourself.
Okay.
Yep. Before you even take down the tree.
Okay. I like to answer you the question succinctly. In Kali, we learn sticks, then knives, empty hand. But ultimately, this set of knowledge of skill makes anything a weapon. Anything, an axe. Let it be long, let it be short, let it be heavy. There is a set of knowledge in you
This is a weapon
that would work spontaneously and that would make that object like an extension of your body. And you'll work with it mechanically, like if you knew it, because you know the essence of how to operate an edge weapon or a bulk weapon such as a stick. We said that even a newspaper can be very dangerous if you roll it up. If you roll it up and you use this edge, it could be dangerous as well. So a paper, anything, if you know how to use the mechanics of this, you have
a lighter.
Yes.
So I noticed also in because I can really only speak about my personal growth within the 17 years that I've been very proudly under the Wing Chun Kali Bandera.
Hey, thank you.
There was certain things like shifting. of the cat, if
Yeah.
it wasn't for using a machete, I don't think I would have gotten it, or it would have taken me years
Mm-hmm.
to even get on the road to fully understanding it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's certain situations, or that where it's like, okay, we have to give you this type of weapon, or you're not going to get this movement? Because different blades tend, like, I'm going to show you here.
Well,
This one I'm making for Sandy, and it's smaller and it's precise. We call it the teacher's scalpel.
mm-hmm.
And you can come down with a number 10, with a 1 or 2. No matter how hard you swing, this thing does not come out of your hand,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it does well for, let's say, a 5, a 8, and a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Those people who are watching us that know Kali will know exactly what we're saying. Those who don't, I guess I'll explain it to them later.
Well,
Right?
hitting with the point instead of the side. Hitting with the
Now,
point instead of with
this
the side.
one,
No,
you
it's
can
fine.
tell automatically, le gusta puyal,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if I was, me personally, if I was teaching someone who needed to perfect their 5, which is a stabbing, the 8, the 9, which are punta first, I would give them something like this before something like this, so they can understand exactly where it's supposed to go in and how you're supposed to move the weapon. That happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really getting the X factor or the movement of the cat until they gave me a machete, and they gave me a live one. Like, now you have to go slow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said earlier also, depending on your personality,
Totally agree.
should there be a change?
Yes, totally agree. Even in the art of Kali, we always mention that you may start with a stick, but ultimately you want to put a bladed weapon in your hand, because you want to that stick should act like a bladed weapon. And when you put a bladed weapon, there is a finesse that is behind it that you just don't have it with any other object. Mm-hmm. So most definitely you should have a knife, because it gives you a different flavor, and I would even call it a signature of how you're going to move, which again we carry forth.
Can you explain that about the signature?
Yeah.
This isn't the first time I've heard you mention it, but I'm not quite sure of the context. Can you elaborate a little bit on that, on the signature?
Sure. This essence that a certain a stick, you will learn certain movements that will give you a certain signature, certain essence. The knife will give you a certain signature as well, more finesse, and then empty-handed will give you one as well. Then when you combine all of them together, you have a greater understanding, and one that you can go in and out of as well. Signature is, you see a boxer and he stands in a certain way and has a certain movement. You see a Muay Thai guy, he has a certain jump and raises mace. You see a jiu-jitsu guy, he lowers. That's also signature. You see a guy that knows how to use his knife, you'll notice there's a signature in his body mechanics that is, I believe, unique.
Yeah, with experience, I can tell, look at somebody and tell, okay, this guy's going to be leg heavy. This guy's going to, use a lot of Muay Thai. This guy's going to use this. But I can never put into words what it is that I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like saying energy. You felt that person's energy. It's like, other than saying energy, there's like not really a word to explain it.
I guess it's the mechanics that one used that leaves a signature in the way that you're going to be operating when you're executing spontaneously, right? Because ultimately all of this is spontaneously without thinking. That's why it's an art. You called it the art of a weapon. And the art of a weapon means spontaneous, creative, intuitive action. And in this case, to survive based on circumstances that could otherwise be detrimental.
Wow, that was a great way to stop it. Yeah, don't do any more. Leave it right there.
Yeah, we could definitely
Beautiful.
come back to that one. We're a little past our time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That was
I
fantastic.
think that was a fantastic way to close it off. He dropped the mic on that one.
Yeah, no
Word,
doubt.
word.
He did.
Word.
So yeah, there we go. We have the art of weapons. We have art meeting weapons. We have weapons meeting art. It is what it is, man. I mean, art is in the eye of the beholder. Unfortunately, war is not.
Mm.
It's pretty decisive, you know, when it comes to wins and stuff like that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But this was a cool little rabbit hole we went down.
Yeah.
Really?
This is a real cool little rabbit hole. And I push anybody and everybody out there who has any little crumb of interest in either martial arts or making weapons, do it. It is fucking fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for real, for real.
It is really fun. Joey Zaza from Torre Viejo. We have
Other side.
John
Yeah.
Matos and Sandy Felices. This was fantastic. I want to thank Sifu Raymond for giving us some time this afternoon and allowing us to share that clip with you guys. Email us, message us, check us out on Facebook, check us out on YouTube, Torre del Viejo. Hopefully, everybody who's watching this in summertime, we're trying to get an arreto together in Puerto Rico. So anybody who's into stick fighting, coco ballet, bomba, plena, anything that has to do with culture, get at us. We're trying to bring a big thing together. And you guys got anything to say?
No, just a great topic. Glad everybody had a good
Thank you
time
for
with it.
bringing it to the table, John. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
John, can I leave you with one more thing?
Oh God, what? God, that gave me a cramp. Fuck.
Torre del Viejo, we out.
Bien, Emma, eres.